Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. We are back with the review for Hulu's Reasonable Doubt. This is Season 3, Episode 3, Run This Town. So we open up the episode where we left off with Jax's dad at her door. He wants to know, can he come in? She's a little reluctant at first, but she gives in. He comes in there and gives Jax this awkward hug, and when he goes to speak to Lewis, Lewis wasn't having it. He was giving, I didn't like you then and I don't like you now. So I'm not sure if it's because how he's made Jax feel being absent in her life all these years, or other things have happened. I don't know, but Lewis didn't see it for him. So Jax wants to know, why is he there? So he casually tells them that his little band got a gig at some lounge that he'll be playing there for a few months, and thought maybe those two would like to come and check him out. Now, did we even know he was a musician? I don't know. All I ever heard was crackhead, but nevertheless, Jax looks at him like, excuse me, but you're not gonna waltz up in here after being such a deadbeat crackhead for a daddy, and I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays, and you think we're getting ready to kiki and kakaka and kick the bobo like everything is copacetic. No, sir. We actually learned that it's been 8 years, and the last time she was gonna meet up with him back in Season 1, he ghosted her, but we know that was because of Mama Lou. So Jax asks him, has he talked to Mama Lou? And he says they've been talking. When she asks him about what, he deflects and tells her that he's down at some hotel and he just wants to make everything up to her, that he would like to explain everything if she just would sit down with him, whether it be a meal, coffee, tea, or whatever. Before we get a response, Lewis kicks him out, but then Jax tells him her request is, if you ever think about stopping by again, don't. And she slams the door in his face. Now, I can't stand an old nasty pop-up. I probably would not have even opened the door. But anyway, Lewis asks her if she's okay, and she lies and says that she is, and he's not going to ruin their day and what they had planned. So she goes to the bathroom and starts having one of her anxiety attacks where she has to breathe. Now, why do you guys think that her dad has popped up after all this time? Is he being for real, where he wants to have a real relationship with Jax? Does he need a lung or a kidney? Or is he terminally ill to where he knows he doesn't have long to live, so he wants to spend as much time with Jax as he can before that time frame? And by looking at the trailer for the season, we know something in the milk ain't clean. So in the next scene, Jax is back at the law firm and the partners wants an update on Ozzy's case. So as she's giving the partners the rundown, we, the audience, get to see what really happened behind the scenes. We see her and Bill go before the judge and get Ozzy the $5 million bond. He gets out and the paparazzi, they're harassing him, and he kind of assaults them by pushing the camera out of his face. So now Jax and Bill have to go in front of the judge again, and the judge is like, well, maybe he shouldn't be outside in the first place. They put him on house arrest. Ozzy didn't give a damn. Now he's out there at the community center. So now Jax and Bill have to go before the judge again. The judge lets him know he would hate to have to revoke his bail. We see Jax go and check Chad, the prosecutor, because she felt like he didn't request for his bail to be revoked because he wants Ozzy to stay on the streets because he knows he's going to eventually mess up and look bad in front of the jurors. Chad was like, look, that's up to the judge, but hey, why win the battle when you can win the war? So back at the law firm, Steven is realizing that Lucy, the prosecutor from Season 2, was playing checkers, and Chad, the new prosecutor, is playing chess. But Jax, she's not fazed. So Steven tells her to keep them posted on Bill's performance and how Ozzy's case is going, and Jax lets him know that she doesn't normally check in once a trial of that caliber starts. So Steven claims that because the case is so big that all eyes are on them, and Jax wanted to know who was them. So Kathy decides to put her 2 cents in as if somebody was talking to her ass. She must be over there hunching Steven events. But she says the firm. Jax looked at her like she done lost her mind, like the firm. So she told Steven, I'll do my best. So when Jax leaves from out of the meeting, she gets this text from her dad saying he knows that she's been busy for the last few weeks, but his offer still stands, but there's no rush. And apparently there is a rush and time is of the essence, because if you've had her number all this time, why haven't you texted her to reach out before if you've been clean for 5 years? So Jax runs into Crystal and Daniel and finds out that Ozzy is posting all kind of thirst trap pictures online. So Jax decides that she needs somebody over there that can watch Ozzy and get information. And basically Daniel was voluntold that he was it. So in the next scene, we see Naima and two of her quote-unquote friends hanging out. Naima starts window shopping and they spot this Prada purse. So one of the girls decides they're going to play truth or dare with Naima and tells her just pick dare. And basically just setting her up for the okie doke. And I thought Naima was a little smarter than that, but I guess not. So in the next scene, we see Jax going home and basically telling Lewis her frustrations about the things that are going on at work. And she feels that it's different, that they don't trust her, that they're doubting her, and she doesn't like it. So Lewis asks her, does she think she's being extra sensitive because her dad popped up out of the blue and wants to know has she talked to him at all? And Jax is looking at him like, what are you talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with him. This is about work. So she then gets a phone call from the LAPD and she automatically thinks it's one of her clients. And the officer tells her, no, it's your daughter. She's been arrested and we have her down here at the station. Now, what I found interesting was it's nighttime. Jax gets home. She plops on the sofa, kicks her feet up. Not one time did her or Lewis discuss where Naima was. I don't know where he thought she was, but I guess Jax assumed she was in her room. All the while she's down there at the police station. So they go down there to get her, and of course they are mad as hell. They want to know what happened. Why are you skipping school and stealing? So she basically tells them how she allowed those other two girls to dare her into doing something she know damn well she ain't have no business doing in the first place. And then when ish hit the fan, they ran off and left her there. So Jax tells her this is going to go one or two ways. We're going to either simply look at this as a mistake and move on from it, or this is your movie where you'll go down a path where you allow other people to dictate your future and end up right back in jail. And it's baffling to me that the way Jax is, I would think Naima would be more of a leader, not a follower. So hopefully she'll get it in her head. You don't have to try to fit in with them heifers. But Lewis lets her know she's on a punishment and they haul her up on out of there. So in the next scene, we see Daniel over there babysitting Ozzy and he's talking to Christian and she's trying to say that he's on weed and enjoying 2000s music over there twerking to thong song. Now, we may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. He is higher than a giraffe's coochie, and that is not weed. But anyway, Jax checks in with Daniel to make sure everything is cool. So in the next scene, we see Jax and Lewis having dinner with Mama Lou, and they're telling her all about Naima being arrested. And she throws a little shade and says that sounds more like Spencer than Naima. Like, what are you trying to say? So she then asked Jax, as she talked to her dad. Jax really wasn't trying to hear what she was talking about. Next thing you know, he's standing over her shoulders and she looking like, what are you doing here? So Mama Lou, she jumps in and says that she invited him and she needed to explain and gave this cockamamie story about when her boyfriend Kevin from season 2 moved to Colorado. That gave her time to reflect on her life, and she realized that the only thing that was standing in between her and Eddie's happiness was his addiction to drugs. AKA, now that I'm by myself, I'm willing to give him a second chance because I don't want to be alone. So Jax calls her out like, hold up. The last time he came here to see me, you interfered and said he is not to be trusted. Now, all of a sudden, since your little boyfriend is gone, I'm supposed to let him back into my life? Like, I'm with Jax on that. Like, this lady is so wishy-washy, and she accepts any little thing coming from these men, and it just kills me. And then she tells Jax that he deserves to have a relationship with her and the grandkids. Lewis is sitting over there giving all this the side eye. He is not feeling none of it. So she tells Jax that she's willing to give him a second chance to redeem himself and wants to see how it would be if she wasn't getting in the way of him trying to be with his family. So Jax let her know, you're not the only one that kept him away. He kept his own self away. So he basically tells Jax he's not looking for her empathy. He says he's felt guilty enough for not being in her life over the years, and he can't apologize enough. And he tells her that kicking addiction is a journey, not a destination, and he just doesn't want her to give up on him before he reaches the end of the road. So I'm really thinking that maybe he reached out to Mama Lou and told her what was going on with him, and I think that Eddie is sick and he wants to try to make amends with his family before he dies. That's what it's given. So we go to a scene with Bill sitting in his car, and this car pulls up and the woman gets out, which we're going to assume is his wife, Kendra. He calls her on the phone and she sends him straight to voicemail, so he pulls off. But later on in the episode, He goes back to the house and she's getting out of the car and he approaches her and she doesn't want to be bothered. He says he wants to see his kids and she's not having it. She goes in the house and slams the door. What did Bill do to get kicked out? He is literally outside. What happened? So we go over there to Ozzy's house and he's pacing back and forth, going through the motions, making phone calls, nobody's answering, probably still trying to call Alex. And in the next room, you had Daniel and Kristen skinning and grinning in each other's faces, talking about watches and creepy vans until they hear this loud crash coming from Ozzy's room. So we get inside the room and Daniel is like, oh, ish, what's going on? Kristen runs and get the Narcan and says he OD'd, like it happens every day type thing. So she uses it on him and he comes back. But Daniel is panicking like, do we need to call 911? And she's like, no, I got it. But Daniel is like, bump that. He calls Jax and lets her know we have a problem. So now the whole family is over there to the house trying to see what's going on. And Monica comes in there hooting and hollering, talking about he's been clean since rehab. Where did he get the pills from? So Jax comes in like, rehab? She had absolutely no idea that Ozzy was dealing with a drug addiction. So she asks the family, how long has he been dealing with this? And all you heard were crickets. So Jax didn't get an answer to her question because Dr. Gardner comes out saying that Ozzy just needs some rest and he should recover soon thanks to Christian. So Jax seems to be the only one concerned about Ozzy and his health while the family is worried about his image. She wants to know, wouldn't it be better to send him to the hospital so they can monitor his recovery? And they're like, no, he's fine. Like they've been doing this for a long time. So Jax, she's utterly disgusted because she cannot believe all they're worried about is their cash cow and the public finding out about Ozzy and his habits instead of trying to get Ozzy some real help. So on her way out, Daniel tells her he'll download her on everything later tonight. So Daniel peeped that Christian was flushing the pills that Ozzy OD'd on down the toilet. So Daniel confronts her and come to find out she has been the one providing him with the pills because her logic is she knows where the drugs are coming from because she's using her sources that she knows are legit and not have them all laced with all kind of different stuff. But at the end of the day, my thing is he still OD'd. So what difference does it make? So Daniel is telling her, why won't you and your family get him the real help that he needs? And she's like, I've been doing this a lot longer than you. I'm the one that got the Narcan. I saved his life. Like she's really doing something. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen when you don't hear him crash, when you don't hear him fall? I think Ozzy is not going to make it out of this season and the whole family needs to be arrested, if you ask me. So the next day at the firm, Daniel is acting a little standoffish and Crystal calls him out. So he starts talking to her and basically telling her that he's infatuated with this girl in his building, which I think he's lying. He's really talking about Christian, but he can't tell her that at the very moment. But Crystal gets a real kiki about it and says that he's in love and then he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So they go into another partners meeting and Steven is asking Jax for an update on Ozzy's case. And she tells him that she has one, but it's a very private matter. And he tells her everything that's being discussed in the meeting is private. And Vince, with his raggedy behind, always has something to say, says that he wants to know what it is because sharing is caring. So Jax reads him real quick and lets him know this isn't some gossip that you can go and laugh about with your frat boys. And basically let him know sharing is not caring, not when it comes to her clients. And baby, when I tell you, apparently some wild hair crawled up Kathy's ass because she fixed her lips and said to Jax, what makes you think you can do whatever the F you want? Girl, you must have lost your rabbit mind, Kathy. Jax is taken aback and she said, what? And she gets ready to repeat it. Like the nerve. Jax told her, look, I heard you the first time, but I'm trying to figure out what make you think you can talk to me like that and I'm your superior. So then all of a sudden, Steven wants to jump in and say, let's just take the temperature down, ladies. You should have jumped in when Kathy opened her mouth and said what she said. But to my surprise, he does tell her to apologize and then report to HR. She says sarcastically, fine, I'm sorry, but I was just saying what we all are thinking. So Jax, she asked the rest of the partners, is this true? Is this how y'all really feel? So of course nobody says a word, so she lays into them and lets them know she's tired of being questioned about her case. She bills more hours than anybody in the room at a higher rate. And she got tired of talking and let them know she wasn't going to continue to tap dance with them, and if they had any other questions, they could check the firm's letterhead. And at this point, Jax needs to get her own firm, her own practice, or whatever, because these people have been playing in her face since season 1. And they're not going to stop trying to get her from up out of there. The fact that she is a black female that's running circles around their asses, they can't take it. We see our girl stressing out to the point where she can't even sleep. It's so much on her plate. She's dealing with these raggedy-ass colleagues of hers. Her father popping up out of the blue. Naima out here stealing like she done lost her mind. And dealing with this big case with Ozzy. She doesn't know if she's coming or going. So later we see Jax over at Ozzy's, and apparently she's discussed with him about talking to a therapist. Because the next thing we know, Jax's friend Autumn shows up, but she's there on a professional level to talk to Ozzy. So the two of them start talking, and Autumn, she asks him, has he ever had therapy before? And he says yes, it was studio mandated after an incident that happened on set. So she wanted to know what kind of incident, and he started deflecting and asking her 101 questions. She peeped the scene and she was like, look, this is just the opportunity for you to express your feelings, and there's no judgment. This is a safe space. So he tells her he doesn't believe her because he hasn't been in a safe space since he slept in the crib. So once she tries to dive deeper into why he made that comment, he deflects once again and starts trying to lay on a charm to avoid answering any of those questions, but Autumn knew what he was doing. He wanted to know, was it working, and she told him no. So she asked him, when did the abuse start, and we learned that around 8 years old, they were giving him caffeine to help him stay awake at work. They started giving him pills. He said it was always a pill for something, whether it was uppers, things to make him go to sleep. After the pills, he was shooting himself up with heroin, and that's when the cycle of rehab started. So he tells Autumn that he's been clean for 2 years, and when he met Wendy, she was the person that pushed and motivated him to do that. He says that Wendy helped him stay clean, and he misses her, and all of this that's going on with her being unalive has really pushed him back into using, amongst other things. So he tells Autumn that when he was sitting in the back of the police car, it brought up things that he haven't thought about in a long time. So Autumn was like what? So we learned that he was SA'd as a child, but he says that it was consensual, and if he was keeping it 100, he enjoyed it. And Autumn let him know that his inability as a child to consent to those type of situations with an adult, it's SA, and if she's keeping it 100, it's a crime. So after they finish talking, Ozzy thanks both of them. Jax wants a minute to talk to her real quick, and he goes outside. So Autumn lets Jax know that he did give her permission to talk to Jax about what was discussed, and she tells her that there are some issues, one being the fact that he was SA'd at the age of 13 by a woman over 30 years old. But he didn't tell her who the woman was, and Autumn says that he's very complicated. With all he has going on, he still was in there trying to charm her. And she says that he's very troubled and he has nobody he can trust except Jax. Now, I thought in one of the other episodes, he said that Christian was the only one he trusted. So over at the Stewart household, Louis goes into Naima's room and wakes her up because she's suspended and she's not going to lay in the bed all day, and she's going to the office with him. She thinks she's going to chill because she's been doing homework for days. He tells her jailbirds don't get to chill. So in the next scene, we see Bill in a restaurant doing work when the Siamese twins, Steven and Vince, pull up on him. Why are they always joined to the hip? What is that about? So they basically want to talk to him about Jax. So because Jax doesn't tell them anything and she keeps her cards close, they want to use Bill as a mole to report back information to their raggedy asses. Now, they do tell Bill that something big is coming up with the company, but they don't divulge what that information is. But they try to make it seem like Corey and Rich are gone because they didn't want to work with Jax. That was not the case with either person. Rich left because his wife got a promotion in another state, and Corey already had his own thing going on back in Chicago. He only came there to help Jax with Chanel's case. But Bill is really not feeling what they're putting down. He's telling them, look, you told me if I buttered up the Jax, I had a better chance of becoming partner. Now you want me to be out here looking like Mickey Mouse, a whole snitch. So they tell him that they do want him to make partner and low-key threaten him, if you ask me, talking about, oh, it's a shame to have all those billable hours go to waste. Why would they go to waste, Vince? Oh, I can't stand Vince. So Tommy lets them know that he's not going to let them down. Now, I don't know what that really means. Is he going to fold and give them what they want, or will he turn against them because he sees what they're doing? But we'll see. So over there at Lewis's office, him and Naima, they're talking, and he wants to know what's up with these new friends she has. She says that they like her and that they're cool, and she knows that what she did was a dumb mistake. And the only reason she started hanging with Brenda and Simone is because now she cannot stand Hattie. Hattie is Tony's daughter. So Naima tells her dad that Hattie thinks she's all that in a bag of chips now that she's joined some new dance group, got her braces off, and doing all these little TikTok dances. Now Naima, quiet as it's kept, is giving that you're jealous of Hattie right about now because just yesterday you were into the girly pop, but now you want her to calm down because you've evolved into stealing Prada purses. But nevertheless, she says that Hattie is a liar. And the biggest lie was the icing on the cake, apparently, for Naima, because she said it was crazy work. And proceeds to tell her dad this quote-unquote lie that when him and Jax were separated, he got Tony pregnant, and the baby that died belonged to him. And she continued to say that Hattie told her they were like sisters because that was her little brother. Baby, when I tell you, if Lewis could run and hide in this particular moment, he would. He looked like he can ish a brick out right about now. But guess what? Hattie told no lies. So he's trying to keep his composure, and he asked her, like, why would she say that? And Naima was like, I don't know. And I don't like people lying to me, especially about my family. So now he's sitting there looking stupid in the face because he doesn't know what to do. But what we do know is Ish is getting ready to hit the fan. So we go over there to the law firm and Bill goes in to check on Jax. She's sitting there contemplating the whole incident with Kathy and how she felt the need to disrespect her in front of her colleagues. And she lets it be known that soft girl era is one thing, but soft ass bitch is not what she is. So Jax is wondering, is it her or can she find a way to blame her mom or her dad? Bill tells her always go with the daddy issues. And I feel like she's being very vulnerable with Bill in this moment. And at this point, we don't know which way he's going when it comes to the Siamese twins. So she lets him know that Ozzy OD'd. She tells him that it's important that our clients know that they can trust us. And he's blown away like our clients. So she tells him, yes, you're part of my team, so it's our clients. So he sits down and she really kind of gives him the rundown on how she's feeling about Ozzy and his drug addiction and going through this trial. So he tells Jax one of the reasons he wanted to work with her is because he was like the older person in law school and everybody looked at him a certain kind of way, like they expected him to fail or just quit. And he sees that people look at her the same way, but she's still here, and he finds it admirable. She says, or ridiculous, but she appreciated him saying that. So she tells him to keep up the good work. He just might make partner after all. I think Bill is seeing Jax for who she really is, and to know her is to love her. She's a good person. She has a good heart. But at the end of the day, you're not going to play in her face, and she don't take no mess. So I'm hoping Bill does the right thing when it comes to Ren and Stimpy. So we get a quick scene with Jax agreeing to go to dinner with her dad, and she basically lets him know one day she may forgive him for not protecting her when she needed him the most because of his disease. And she tells him if he messes this up, she's not going to be fazed. He's going to be fazed. So if he's not going to commit to getting to know her, he might as well put the menu down, say a few kind words, and keep it pushing for good. And he claimed he understood the assignment. So when Jax gets home, Lewis gives her the 411 on what went down with Naima. So Jax wanted to know what did he say, and he admitted he told her nothing. He just went with it because Naima thought it was crazy to begin with. So Jax says that she saw her dad today and she thinks that he's hiding something from her and she doesn't like it, which is now prompting her to want to tell the kids about the baby. So Jax says that Spencer comes home in 2 weeks and that seems like the best time to tell him, and playfully asked Lewis what was going to be his approach, and he thought it was so unserious and a joke. But I know they have their little united front or whatever, but I probably would have had him tell him by his damn self, because that's your ish. And quiet as it's kept looking at the trailer, you guys don't have 2 weeks, okay? So later on, we see Jax cleaning when she has this epiphany and calls Daniel. She says that she believes that Ozzy was home that night, and given that everything that happened with Wendy, considering that he had been clean for 2 years, somebody had to bring him the drugs. So they kind of eliminated Christian because they didn't think she would let him go down like that. So it has to be someone else that's trying to protect their own secret, and they don't know just yet who could that be. And then we see Ozzy's phone ringing, and it's Alex finally calling him back. So he answers like, "Where the F you been?" So Alex wanted to know, was he out of his stash? And Ozzy was like, he's not on that. He needs for him to come clean and say that he was with him that night. Alex says he can't do that because then he would have to tell the truth, and he's not doing it. And we all want to know, what is that? Is it that the two of you did something to Wendy, or are the two of you lovers? Like, what's the truth? So Ozzy says, after all I've done for you, this is how you act? And I want to know, what have you done for him, Ozzy? Inquiring minds want to know. So Alex responds, this ain't my cousins and them, and you ain't number one on the call sheet, my ninja. So F your alibi. Pow pow. Gotcha. And that's where the episode ends. Woo, child. It was a lot going on. What is going on with Alex and Ozzy? We have a lot of questions concerning that. And what exactly is Bill planning on doing? Is he going to cater to the Siamese twins and what they're asking him to do by snitching? Or will he remain loyal to Jax? And what happened between him and Kendra? Why won't she even allow him to see his kids? Like, what did he do? We want to know. And if you were in Lewis's shoes when Naima told the story about Hattie, would you have told her the truth in that moment? Drop down in the comments and let's talk about all of it. And as always, you guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.